Hello and welcome to Element of Costing session. This session is one of the key paper for the level 2 accounting, especially for the student who are studying AAT level 2. In this session, we're going to see how many chapters we're going to cover from this course and what is the exam criteria, how many marks we're expecting from which area, and what is the pass rate, and is this exam will be computer based or any human marks will be involved. So all of this thing we're going to see from this session. It will be the introduction to element of costing. So let's have a look how many chapters we have. So we can see we have a 7 chapter here for the whole course. So we have chapter number 1, that is introduction to costing system. So from here we're going to see what is actually the costing system and how does it work, and some definition of the companies. For example, the difference between the partnership, sole trader and the limited companies. The next chapter we have chapter number 2, that is for cost classification. On the cost classification chapter we're going to see different sort of cost. For example, labor cost, for example, material cost, for example, overhead. So all of these cost categories or classification we're going to see from chapter number 2. Then chapter number 3 we have a coding cost. So how can actually we put the code against the code? For example, we have a sales. For example, we have a purchase. So sales is the income, so we're going to put one code, for example 00100. So this code represents the sales, so income will represent from the code 00100. For the purchase, this is my expense code, so it's maybe 2000. So there are few ways we can create the codes, could be the numbers or could be the alphabetical order. So we're going to see all of this from chapter number 3. The next chapter we have chapter number 4, that is cost behavior. From this chapter we're going to see how many types of cost we have. For example, fixed cost, variable cost, step cost, and semi-variable cost. So how this cost work and what is the meaning of this cost, we're going to see from that chapter, cost behavior. So cost behavior will tell us how many types of cost we have. For example, variable cost, fixed cost, step cost, semi-variable cost, all of this. Chapter number 5 we have, that is inventory classification and valuation. So we're going to see how can we record the inventory and what is the method for the valuation. For example, FIFO, that is first in first out, LIFO, last in first out, and AFCO, that is average. All of this inventory valuation method we're going to see from chapter number 5. Then chapter number 6 we have a labor cost and the overhead. So we're going to see how to calculate the labor cost and the overheads. So all of these workings and explanation we're going to see chapter number 6. And finally the last chapter we have chapter number 7, that is for the variance analysis. And from this chapter we're going to see the difference between the budget and the actual. So the budget minus actual equal to the variance analysis. So variance is the difference between the budget and the actual. For example, my plan was the sales will be 100, but actually the sales is 120. So it is better than my expectation, so 20 will be the favorable variance. If it is a less, then it will be adverse variance. So you're going to see everything from chapter number 7. Now we'll move on to the marking category for this exam. So let's move on to the marking category and let's have a look from where the question will be in the exam. There will be total 100 marks in the exam. So all of these 100 marks we have to answer. There is no optional question. We have to make sure we answer everything in the exam. The exam will be marked by the computer, so assessment method will be computer-based assessment, marking type computer, and the duration for the exam will be 1.5 hours. So you have to answer every single question you have for 1.5 hours. In the learning outcome, we can see from the area understanding the cost recording system with an organization, so 20 marks will come from that area. Use cost recording technique, 60 marks will come from that area. And provide information and actual and the budgeted cost and income, 20 marks will come from that area. So this is my total 100 marks will be in the exam. Alright, so now I think we have some idea about this course. So all these 100 marks we have to answer, and how many question will become in the exam, and what type of question, how the exam question look like, everything we're going to see on our revision lesson. So on the revision lesson, we're going to open exam question that will be exactly the same question you're going to see in the exam, and we're going to practice, and we're going to finish all these 100 marks question together. And of course, after that, you will have a proper idea what type of question you're going to see in the exam and how can you answer all this question. So this was the little briefing about the element of costing, and now we'll move to our lesson, and that will be start from chapter to chapter. So we're going to discuss every single chapter we have, and we're going to solve every single activities we have from the book. So let's move on to the chapters and start from the first chapter, and we'll follow on until we complete the whole book, and after we'll do the revision, then we'll be ready for the exam.